Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL double game week 24 deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. FPL Team is your best one-stop shop for all your future FPL planning, particularly useful when we are in chip season. It is 10 a.m. on Saturday, February the 1st. Happy February, everyone. We are 55 minutes away from the double game week 24 deadline, and between now and 11 a.m. I'll be trying to answer as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of that deadline. Firstly, let me take you through graphics because that's going to answer a lot of questions for you. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions for 11 games in double game week 24. That will rotate with my preferences for captaincy. Let's be honest, if you're not on Mo Salah, it's because you want to take a gamble, probably on Gakpo or Trent Alexander-Arnold. And if you do, that's obviously fine. The benching dilemmas are below me. Pages 1 to 4 have outfield players. They run in order left to right. So they go down and then left and down and then left. Pages 1 to 4. Goalkeepers are on page 5. You will see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams this weekend. In the bottom right hand corner, right at the bottom, the grey ticker, you'll see all the flag players in FPL and the next 5 fixtures for all teams. Blue fixtures instigate obviously a double game week. No, nothing has been added yet for double game week 25. And top right hand corner, you will see my team. This is not going to change unless something very weird happens in the next 50 minutes or so. I will be Pickford, Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel, Hall, triple captain Mo Salah, Amad Diallo, Cole Palmer, Anthony Gordon, Nicholas Jackson, Alexander Isak, Cody Gakpo on the bench, Fabianski, Rogers, Colwell and Castagne. I bought Gakpo and Pickford last Saturday night after the obviously minus 56 misdemeanor from the previous week. And kind of committed my path. I thought strongly about taking a -4 to remove a Liverpool player for Arne Slot. But ultimately, I decided that I was already sitting on the best 3 Liverpool assets. The only Everton asset that I truly wanted was also already in my team. So I've decided to stick it out. Yes, I might use the assistant managership from game week 25. That is a possibility, but I would say probably not the plan currently, but a possibility, subject to what obviously happens in the cup games over the next 2 weeks, isn't it? I guess before we get to game week 25. That's the graphics sorted. I don't like David Moyes as assistant managership. People want to do it, crack on. It's the usual, play it your way. But I don't love it, guys. That's just my personal opinion. I'm going to put the assistant manager in because of I want him to do well against the 3 Liverpool players that I already own. It's interesting. Okay. Right, let's get into the questions. Good luck, everyone. Repeat/similar questions may well be skipped. These will be answered in order of submission. Right, first up, we've got Thomas Powell says, "Hi, James. Would you sell Diaz for -4 for Cliver? Bench for Rogers this week and get slot assistant manager, all chips in hand. I'm planning to run through game week 29. Probably not for -4. For 3, yes, I'd have done it. My conclusion is kind of just said I was on what I think, if I was free hitting, that's the 3 Liverpool, I'd go with Trent, Salah, Gakpo. So I felt like I was on the best 3. Diaz is borderline with Jota being back in training. I think if I'd have had Konate instead of Trent, for example, I'd have done it. Van Dijk would be borderline. Van Dijk, you know he's going to play. If I had Robertson, I'd have moved it. Szoboszlai, I'd have moved it. If I'd still been sitting on Jota, I'd have moved it. So Diaz is really borderline. I think for 3, yes, I probably would have done it. From -4, no. Dragon Josiowski says, need to downgrade Hall to Mikalenko or Dominic Calvert-Lewin to Beto to fund slot. Preference, Beto would bench Sarr this game and remain as 8th attacker. My preference is definitely the remove Lewis Hall route, not because I want you to remove Lewis Hall, but there's a transfer window that closes on Monday and there's every chance Everton are buying a forward who then gets a debut against Bournemouth in the FA Cup and then plays instead of Beto against Liverpool. Right, that has to be a possibility, so I would not want to go down that route personally. Not that I particularly want to sell Lewis Hall, particularly if you bought him at a cheap price, Luscious 4.4 as I did. Remember, we don't know what's happening with that Newcastle Palace fixture as it stands. It is, of course, more likely to be later in the season. Could, of course, stay in game at 29 if Arsenal manage to overturn their deficit. JP says, morning, mate. How are you always so early, mate? Morning, mate. What makes more sense next game? Isak to Watkins or a -4 to upgrade Wood to Watkins and Gordon down grade to Utara Kluivert. The latter, I think, mate. Billy Taylor says, yes, Jimbo, I hope you had a nice long sleep. Don't be stupid, mate. I was still fucking streaming for you lot at 12. I'm thinking of ditching Gakpo to go slot. Do you prefer Delap or Ndiaye up until 30? They'll be rotatable with Jimenez depending on fixture. I do think there is a small, very small possibility that Liam Delap leaves Ipswich in the next 48 hours. I think someone could come in with a bid that Ipswich go, we got to take that. I think that's a possibility. Unlikely, but a possibility. It's probably Ndiaye, therefore, Billy. I'm not loving either. I concluded that I wasn't going to remove Gakpo for slot, right? And that's one of the reasons I didn't like any of the forward options to go to specifically right now. Because I also think that next week it might be like, oh shit, Tottenham held on against Liverpool. I want to buy Raul Jimenez and captain Raul Jimenez. Like, yeah, I'm not keen, mate. Sean G says, hi James, how many points would you need from assistant manager to make it worth to get slot and swap Trent for a hit and not triple captain Salah and triple captain against Southampton instead? Well, ultimately, there's a lot of things to consider there. Salah's performance being one, right? Because you can say, I got 35 points from slot. That's great. But then Mo Salah this week, rocks in something absurd. Then it's probably not worthwhile, is it? Remember, you can only judge Salah on 1 week. You're judging slot over 3 weeks. Unless, of course, obviously you're moving it on. But in which case, you obviously factor in the transfers you're being used. I mean, it's dependent, isn't it? Realistically, what would be kind of circa prediction for Salah this week? In my opinion, probably a goal and a blank. Something like that. Let's call it, say, 11 points or so, right? Slot specifically on the double. If they win twice, that's what, minimum 16. But you're also talking about removing Trent, who would be part of your setup. So you're getting an inferior player this week. And it's costing you a hit. Yeah, this is the sort of thing I concluded the answer was no for me. Thomas McLeod says, morning, James. Do you prefer to sell Gordon to Kluivert or Wood and Dyer to fund slot assistant manager? Best of luck. I prefer it to Morgan Rogers if you don't own. But yes, the Kluivert route. King of Mandalore, only 0.2 million in the bank, so need to take a hit to activate assistant manager regardless. Sell Trent for Kirkes/Dean and get slot or Gordon and get slot, or Gordon for Kluivert and get Moyes. I'm not keen on either, mate. It's kind of covered. It's the Trent route. Don't like that, mate. Armo says, hey James, I know you're smarter at this than me. Not necessarily, mate. I'm hoping this is something that makes assistant manager now. Free hit 29, bench boost 33, wildcard 34, triple captain 36. Hope the game week 36 is less doubles, but we'll go into game week 36 with 5 free transfers to buy doublers. Okay. Okay, this would be a really, really big thing. So let's say we do still get doubles in 36, which many of you know from my projections, I'm kind of questioning whether that's right, okay? So you wildcard 34, and all the teams that did double in 36, if they do, will almost certainly blank in 34. Simple as that. So how are you now navigating from wildcard 34 to what you want in 36? That's a problem with that theory. Now, obviously, if your game week 36 had no doubles, cool, wildcard 34 and just pick someone in the single game week en route to the end. Or you might be lucky where one fixture is, say, moved from 37 to 36 for the FA Cup final. Yeah, I still don't think anyone can truly commit to the strategy beyond game week 29 at this moment. We need more information. Novel Alam says, hi, James. I sold Alisson for Flecken and got an assistant manager for slot. Worth it. I don't really care at this point. Novel, you've made your decision. So as people know, these are my favourite questions. What do you want me to say? Nice, terrible, mate. Reverse that. Like, it's not. That's the decision you made. Very best of luck, mate. Aaron McCalden says, hi, mate. Made early transfer this week to avoid being priced out. Looking at assistant manager chip now, but would need to do a -4 as I'm already on free Liverpool. Is it worth doing Canate to Howson to bring in slot? So that one, I think, yes. Tommy Gonzo says, morning, James. Start 2 of Saliba, Milenkovic, Kirkes and Robinson. Already starting Gabriel. Saliba, Milenkovic, mate. Jack Wellen says, unfortunately, I did a James this week and ended up having to use my free hit. Oh, no. Other than Liverpool and Everton players, anyone else you target this week? Brentford. Yeah, probably still, you'll have money in, right? So still, like, definitely Isak, I think. Brentford, yeah, I would go Boomer and Visso, probably. I don't think I've predicted any team this week to score more than 2 this weekend. Watkins and maybe, like, if you can afford that, that's another potential route. Cole Palmer, I would definitely be sticking in. Probably the kind of clue would be if you look at the captaincy, the single game week players. So what have I got up there? Palmer, Isak, and Bumo. So those three would definitely be going in. Plus the 6 from Liverpool, Everton. And then, yeah, subject to what you've got money-wise, you probably can do it. Something like Watkins, Nicholas Jackson, another one possibly. Even something like a Liam Delap, home to Southampton. Don't mind. Like a Bruno Fernandes would be kind of rogue. Excuse me, I do think there's a chance he plays a deeper role. Chris Wood, obviously, like if you weren't on, it's a decent fixture this week. Arsenal attack would be quite rogue, but I'd probably avoid that fixture, Arsenal v City. Good luck, mate. Colin Johnson says, morning, mate. Addison to Pickford to get slot, or just play triple captain on Salah. If it's for free, I'm going to, yeah. Also is going to give you confirmed extra fixture game at 29, right? But then you potentially, you don't use a doubler for next week because you presumably would stick on slot, right? If the double happens. Patrick says, Dean, a good option to replace Trent. I've never been a victim of trolling before, so even if it goes wrong, I'll take some joy from it. I would just consider things like, they're probably okay for Ipswich at home in 25 if like the double happens. But is it one where Maatson could play? I think it is. I also think the fixtures are shocking beyond 25 pretty much for the rest of the season, actually. I don't think it ever looks great again. I don't think it looks terrible, by the way, but I don't think... I don't see Caesar Greens for the rest of their season once that Ipswich fixture and the Wolves fixture are out the way. No reason to think he wouldn't play this week. I would just think in terms of you are getting the player specifically for the double. Truthfully, I would just prefer you went Conso, I think. I don't think there'd be enough up in Luca Dean, personally. So I would just go Esri Konsa under that circumstance, actually. But he could be a good option, right? I mean, volume of crosses is great. Patrick, I've just covered. Nikolai Utne says, morning, James. Mad week. Free Liverpool. No triple captain. I know you considered Trent to Kirkes. Would have been handsome for me, for clarity, to do assistant manager. Is it worth it? Tempted to wait a week and do assistant manager then with no more in doubles. Well, I can only say, Nikolai, that obviously I haven't done it. So for me to advise to do it would be a little bit strange, wouldn't it? So I haven't done it, mate. Alan Holohan says, keep Gakpo and triple captain Salah, or Gakpo to Vissa -4 slot assistant man. No, again, this is something I could have done, decided not to. Jordan Murphy says, James, I'm on triple Liverpool and 2 free transfers, trying to make space for slot. Which would you make? Trent out, Tarkowski in, or Alisson for Pickford and Rodgers 2 free transfers? Yeah, the second route, mate. Hanzo Hasashi says, morning, James. Is it worth doing a Fabianski to Pickford for free and bench Raya, or roll and get more info on 25 and 29? I think that's too much for 2 goalkeepers. That's the only thing, mate. But I get it. But the thing is, like, once you're there, I'll say if Raya doesn't double in 25, are you then, which is obviously the most likely at the moment, are you then looking to downgrade Raya or Pickford and therefore using 2 free transfers on goalkeepers in forthcoming weeks? It doesn't really feel ideal. I'm pretty confident Raya would play. My advice, generally speaking, would be do not sell players currently from any team that could double in game week 25. That's Villa, Liverpool, Fulham, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea. Whatever you've got from them 6 teams, don't use them as your sacrifices for anything that you're doing now, would be the advice. I get it. I think I would just leave it on Raya. I obviously went Raya to Pickford last Saturday before we knew this chaos of the last 24 hours. I don't think I'd have bothered. I think I would have stuck it out with Raya playing, and then be delighted. Obviously, if they had actually, I wouldn't be delighted because that would mean Arsenal in the cup final. Then be disappointed if Raya had a double game week next week. JP says, is Wood to Ndiaye worth it if it means a -8? Jesus, for next game week's planned transfers? No, mate. Samson says, move Wood to Vissa this week or Wood to Watkins next week if Paul win against Spurs in the Carabao semis. Prefer to Watkins. The availability for Watkins next week is something you might really want, so prefer that. Again, as I've said several times on content over the last 10 days or so, we know someone is pushing a narrative around Johan Vissa. whether it's his agent or someone's pushing a narrative about him potentially moving, I'd be aware of that. Next up is Porky Party. Says best defender under 5 million for -4 Kanate. Slot worth -4. Good luck this week. Oh, I think under that circumstance for Kanate, I'm going to say yes. My preference is with Dean Howson, as long as you don't have to play it this week. That's my preference. Simon B says, morning James, would you do Rare to Pickford for a hit? No. LP says, hi James, do you think there is more of a case for those like me with Diaz third Liverpool to switch to slot given current form and Jota news? Cheers. Yes I do. I think that's a real deliberation. As said, I feel like I'm on the best three, so if I'd have been on Diaz, I think I would have done it. Yeah, I would have flipped it about, I think. Matt Lacking says, hi James, I've blocked myself out of assistant manager by forgetting I had João Virginia on the bench. Would you -4 for Virginia to Martinez for next week and use assistant manager Moyes or just triple captain Salah? I hope you enjoyed Goodison. I did till the game started, mate. Loved that place. No, not for me, mate, no. J. Broski says, morning, hope the family's well, all good, hope yours are too. On the Billy Gunn ship, because he's an arse man. Moyes, unfortunately, question is Hall or Munoz to start. I think we're to Gunner, so he will be concede, and I reckon Palace beat Man United. I think he's saying he thinks Newcastle will concede, and with Lewis Hall all day long for me on that, I think, mate. Personally, you've got your bias and you know more about your team than I do. Remember, Nick Pope might be back in goal today. I don't think he will be. Z says, hey James, for someone who did bench boost 1, that is I too, and still has triple captain assistant manager free hit, is there any worth waiting for triple captain in 33? Or just go triple captain 24, assistant manager 25, 27? You'll have a route, and I think I said this quite a bit yesterday with triple captaincy. What's the worst case scenario if you don't land in another strong double? You know, Salah at home to Southampton 28, Haaland at home to Leicester 30, an opportunity right at the end of the season. There'll be some decent singles that you could still look at, which isn't ideal, but do you know what? The winners on a triple captaincy so far this season are probably those who used it on Haaland in Game Week 2, right? So, you know, if you're in doubt, wait, would probably be the advice at the moment, because you specifically have used your bench boost. If you had the bench boost still, yeah, I'd be getting something used now. Tommy Gonzo says, bench 1, Ahmad, Wood, Gordon, Rogers. Ollie Smith, -4, Kanate to Greaves, or Gakpo to Visser to enable assistant manager. The problem with the Greaves move is, and this is where you just got to think a little bit longer term here, right, he could lose his place in the team. If you need it in, say, Game Week 29, you want to move it, fuck you going, mate. You buying something like, you might be. Just consider that. On the face of it, in terms of the immediate this week, Greaves playing Southampton, I think he probably plays. I get it. You just need to think about your further ahead path, Ollie. I would be personally very reluctant to put a player at Jacob Greaves' value who is not like 100% starter in my team. I got walloped last week. I know he scored. It could change. Every time they've had a bad one, he's generally tried to flip it about. I do think that he should be part of their best 11 for what it's worth. Billy Taylor says, I heard a rumour that if you don't smash the like button, your assistant manager will fall out with all the players in your squad and try to ship them off to AC Milan mid-game week. Huge, if true. Yes, everyone, as per Billy said, if you could smash a like and hit the sub button, that would be amazeballs. Not even for 20% you smash the like. Not even. Don't cost anything. Free loaders. It's free. It's free content. Berticus, thoughts on Nwaneri minutes, mate? I wouldn't invest for fantasy if that's what you're asking. Obviously, Odegaard missed last week. So did Marino. Nwaneri scored a brilliant goal in midweek. He's a terrific talent. Wouldn't be going there. I've been asked about Bergvall this week, Yarmouk. I wouldn't be going to any of these players right now when we're heading into chip season. Wouldn't go for any of them. Prashan says, hi James, if no assistant manager this week, what do you think is the best chip strategy going ahead, especially with bench boost, and when can the assistant manager chip be played again? Thank you. Here's the awkwardness. So if Game Week 33 turned out big and there wasn't doubles in 36 at all, which is still, I know it's the projection, but it's also unlikely. Please let me clarify that. Then You're gonna want a bench boost in 33, I think, because you're only a good opportunity to use that. Which you can still use the assistant managership in other opportunities, right? Unless you land really nice for a single game week. But I still do think there'll be opportunities right at the end, even if that is the circumstance. The bench boost, although the assistant manager is more powerful, the bench boost is more limited in terms of where you can use it, right? You're not going to use it if you got like a sub goalkeeper and never plays, right? Whereas you're going to use assistant manager in any week. Okay, so you're more restricted to the best case solution for the bench boost. Your assistant manager with only 3 fixtures could still work out brilliant for you, right? So therefore, although it's contradictory because the assistant manager is more powerful, your bench boost ultimately is going to end up being played in the week that is most suitable. Now, at the moment, I've got a projection of all the additional kind of remaining postponed games going into 33, right? Well, I can't say to you, 33 for bench boost if those games will go in 36 instead, which is also possible. Or if they get split, then it's circumstantial of what's most suitable for you, right? So the honest answer is, beyond game week 29 is already covered. We cannot say with certainty right now. What I would definitely say as a little bit of advice to people right now is don't plan to wildcard in game week 30. Because I'm very concerned that you won't have the information of what 33 looks like. That would make me very nervous. A lot of people are going to do that. And I understand why a lot of people are going to do that. But I think there will be a panic at the end of that of like, where's my fixtures? Where's my fixtures? You may get it. You might not. Truth. Martin says, Sanchez to Pickford for a -4. The risk of benching and the fact Chelsea blank double against Arsenal pushing me that way. You could hold on to Sanchez. They could double. And he don't play anyway. A lot of us have got Jorgensen predicted to start this week. If your other goalkeeper is Fabianski, I'm going to say yes. If your other goalkeeper is like Henderson, Flecken, Verbruggen, any of these, I'm going to say no. Jurgen says, hello, James. Should I sell Gakpo for Visser to go early to Cunha, then activate slot? It's a no from me, mate. James Lloyd says, hey, James, thank you as always. Alisson to Pickford and Woodsman dive -8 for slot assistant manager and Moyes assistant manager for free. Don't like either, mate, but listen, I don't know if we should protect the -8 to throw slot in here. So he's got an additional fixture, right? If Liverpool could have an additional fixture on top, right? If they win that 2-1, that's 8 points. You ain't gained shit, mate. Vivek Gore says, hi, James, have 0.1 in the bank and no free transfer. Which one do you prefer? Gakpo to Ndiaye, Sanchez to Alisson with Moyes, or keep Gakpo, sell Trent for any defender to get cash and do Sanchez to Pickford with Moyes. I don't... You're going to get biased from me, right? I'm really not keen on this Moyes stuff. Listen, if they win this weekend, they beat Liverpool, it's genius stuff, right? Ultimately, you want Moyes to, stop all your Liverpool players from returning. So you get his points. I don't know, man. I'm really not sure about this. Probably the Alisson route. No, I don't feel right, does it? Just sending Trent in the other one. Yeah, the Alisson route, mate. Rail Free says, hi, James. Thinking of going assistant manager this week and selling Diaz. Who would you get based on projections coming weeks? Not Watkins. Rodgers, first and foremost, if you don't own. Then if not, just looking at further ahead at this moment, I just think Kluivert will carry you really well. Their fixtures, 25 all the way up to 34, really good. You'd be happy to play him in pretty much every week, I think. So although that's obviously not a double next week, they do go to Southampton, right? So, okay, I didn't get an extra doubler, but you wouldn't want to bench him next week. So Kluivert would be the second choice for me at the moment, rather than someone thinking outside the box and going, oh, well, yeah, let's go for Kulusevski. Like, no, at this moment. JP says, best game week 26 manager for assistant manager. I'm going to assume on that question, JP, you are talking about moving from slot to someone else. I'm going to throw it out that if you're making that transfer from the best team in the league as it stands, irrespective of the fact they're playing Manchester City, you are doing it because you're going for the bonus. Because as it stands, I think Liverpool will probably win at Man City in game week 26. My opinion might change by the time we get there. So therefore, surely you're targeting the bonus. I think it's probably Ruud van Nistelrooy. Yep. Leicester against Brentford, subject to what the table looks like when you get there. Shitty, innit? Chris W says, hi, James. Kanate to Bednarek or Kanate to... Bednarek, that's interesting. Kanate to Howson / Consa. Pick one. Howson is the little preference. I know there's the potential double for Villa, but I just think Howson is going to save you another transfer. Yes, it'll be a fixture less next week, but it is against Southampton, and it's going to save you a transfer further down the line, I think. Raya to pick for 2 free transfers. Don't have a playing sub-keeper and Raya flagged. I do think Raya will play, guys. Just on Bednarek, can I give you a really, really rogue tip? It's a proper out there. I don't even know if he'll play. There's no way of knowing. But there's a good chance that Wellington plays left wing back for Southampton. And could make his debut today. This is really out of the box. Don't buy a Southampton defender, mate. So Kanate to Howson is the route I'm going to have preference with, mate. FPL Andy says, morning, James. Do you prefer selling Gakpo to get Slot or sell Mateta to get Moyes? Have 4 free transfers, 0 in the bank. I think Mateta could be very useful for you over the next 5 game weeks. Really do. And I tell you what, if you were free hitting in 29, I definitely wouldn't sell him. What about next week? You know, what if you want to get up to Watkins next week? What does that mean? Out of your options, what do I prefer? Probably Gakpo to get Slot. Alex Piri says, morning, James. I have all chips left. What are your thoughts on wildcard 27? Allows the plan for 29 blank and set up nicely for 33. You won't know what 33 will look like, mate. Will we have enough info by 27 to make that work? No. Also, in the event that Newcastle and Crystal Palace went out of the FA Cup, which is after game week 27, i.e. in the 5th round, between 27 and 28, if both clubs were eliminated, we should not rule out the possibility of Newcastle Crystal Palace staying in game week 29 and being played on FA Cup quarter-final weekend, which would be 2 weeks later, but would almost certainly still be game week 29. You haven't got the info, I'm afraid, Alex. Shakamura says, hi mate, would you do sells to Pickford -4? Nope. Sabina Khan, bench 1, Palmer, Isak, Bumo, Rogers, or Wood plays Rogers from that. Maestro 18, hey mate, trust your world. Do you think Raya starts tomorrow? Yes. Fantasy Fluker, I have no intel on that, but just for clarity. Some people think I got like direct lines to 20 managers. Fantasy Fluker says, hi James, play Greaves over Robinson and Colwell. I don't think I'd play him over Colwell. No, I don't think so. I get it. Southampton's threat from set plays. Still Ipswich. I actually think Southampton might get something today. Tanky says, Gakpo to Watkins and Gordon to Damsgaard. Assistant manager slot and free transfers for next week. Damsgaard's an interesting call. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I've not seen many people mention him. The fixtures are good. Obviously playing the blank. I do think it's one game week 30. You may well be moving that onto a Bournemouth player anyway. Just factor that in. But I presume you need to go that low. And you might be thinking ahead and be a little bit nervous about Utara. I get that. You got a few free transfers in hand. I don't mind it. I'm okay with that one. I don't mind it. Sam Smith says, hi James, -4 for Alisson to Pickford. Downgrade Munoz and play assistant manager slot, or just leave it and triple captain. I think Alisson's real borderline here. I like the fact it's obviously another doubler. The -4s are... But I guess in a way it will save you a transfer further down the line for 29 most likely. Based on the projection currently that obviously Liverpool would blank 29. You're effective not losing the player 25 because you've gained slot. Yes, probably. But careful how far you're downgrading. Like, I don't like Munoz to 3.9s and stuff like that, mate. If it's to like Howson, fine. FPL Uproar, hello James. We'll do Trent to Howson and play slot assistant manager. We'll start Gabriel Greaves and Hall this week. So be it. Not taking a hit though. Just a free transfer. Good luck, mate, and much love. And to you too, pal. Have a good one. JP says, I have Gabriel and Raya. Should I bench Gabriel so I can therefore buy Mikolenko? and play him. I love this. It's interesting. Would you pick Mikalenko over Gabriel this week if it was a single, if it was just Leicester at home? That cool if you would. If you wouldn't, you now got what, Liverpool, and now this is the additional to put him in, and you might be losing a doubler from 25. Repeat, I would not sell a player from any team that could double as it stands in 25 of the 6 teams that we know of. I don't think we should rule out the possibility of Newcastle Palace going into 25, but that's got to be extremely unlikely. It could be that they're waiting on clarity that those 2 teams would go through. Palace don't even play till Monday night. I mean, it's got to be 7-8 days. No, surely Newcastle Palace couldn't go into 25. But of the other 6, I would not be selling a player from those teams, mate. Mind you, you're just saying bench, aren't you? No, I'd play Gabriel. I mean, I wouldn't play Gabriel over Mikalenko. If you got a double, you play the doubler, mate. But under that circumstance, I'm not sure I'd be investing into Mikalenko personally. Hanny says, hi, James. Is it silly just not to do assistant manager now? And I also have triple captain. Well, Hanny, if it is, then I'm silly. Matthew Fairbrace says, morning, James. Loving this chaos. Not got a question. Good luck, everyone. Hit the like for this man's hard work. Thank you, Matthew. Have a great weekend. John says, morning, pal. Best Villa defender to replace Konate. Thanks. I'm going to say Konsa for reasons explained a little earlier in the stream versus Luca Dean. Jay Lee says, Sarr or Dibbling. Have Mateta already. This is what to start. Sarr's a certain starter now with Eze's injury. Dibbling's not. We do think he'll play. But he's not certain. I think it's Sarr. I think, yeah, just about. I'm thinking of like the exposure of, say, like Minter's goal at Manchester United, and if Sarr could end up in that sort of situation. I think just about Sarr. As a reminder for our patrons watching live, do give us a tag on Slack if we've got any team news info going round. Obviously, with Forest Brighton being the early kickoff, I don't expect anything that's going to be impactful to people, but might get Mo Salah's not spotted on the beach in Bournemouth today kind of gig. Sorry, just reading something, but I don't know who there's an account going around claiming that Gakpo starts, which should surprise nobody anyway. I don't know who it is, so but it wouldn't surprise anyone anyway, would it? Haswood says, hi James, curious about your thoughts as to why players such as Gakpo are so much better at home versus away. Is it down to tactical changes impacting those players? Good luck this week. I don't have a solid answer for that. I mean, Liverpool presumably will score more goals at home than away. To be honest, I haven't even checked that out if it's true. I guess you take things like them scoring 6 at Tottenham, and that's probably not the case necessarily. Did he play that day? I can't remember now. I'm not sure. I cannot recall. I mean, he probably did. Anyway, I don't know. We had this with like Gordon last season, didn't we? It's just a thing that can happen. And listen, he scored 3 or 4 in this week, and then we put that theory in to bed, right? It might just be that he's more comfortable in his surroundings. He gets the ball on the touchline, which he's doing a lot more now, and feels the environment of the crowd kind of cheering him on and stuff. There could be little psychological things that we can't quite understand, but yeah, at the moment with Gakpo, I would suggest it's probably an anomaly. It's probably just he likes his environment a little bit more. That's all, but it could easily change. I certainly wouldn't be looking at him this way and thinking, he don't return much away from home. And the reality is what he returned at West Ham, which was quite recently, right? Maybe had 2 away games since then. It is true that's the only goal he scored away from home this season, but he might get more than 1 in this game week, right? I don't think it would truly surprise anyone. I don't think there's anything necessarily tactical in it, because if anything, he's obviously a player with speed. If anything, you would and this applied to Gordon as well, if anything, you would maybe think teams would be a little bit more adventurous at home, therefore there's a little bit more space away, if anything. It's interesting. Billy Taylor says, do you reckon that FPL will have assistant manager from the start of next season and they'll be integrated into the game permanently? And if so, would this have an effect on pricing of other players going forward? Couldn't say, Billy. I certainly don't know anything. but I would suggest that there's every chance that it'll be implemented from game week 1 next season. I think yes, we'd have to say that's a possibility. It's also possible that they do another mystery next year and it's something completely different again, right? I have no idea, mate. But I would say there's a possibility they add it. I don't love it, by the way. I've got to be honest. I'm not a. I said this when it happened. I think the game, not necessarily for us, are very engaged in it. Most of us can work it out. But I see even really engaged managers are like, fucking, this is a head fuck. And I get that. So I think for the engaged player, it's largely fine. But for those who just want to pick the team on a Friday, it's like, what's this and where's it come from? And they're probably all on slot now, by the way, and it's probably going to work out absolutely great for them. I'm not massively keen on it personally. But if they do it again, they do it again, and we play the game, mate. Rake says, hi James, hope you and the family are well. Help took -4 to get Mikalenko. Have Cody. What is it? Cody. Crowd is here, about to blow. That's all I could think of, mate. Cody, it's Cody Gakpo. It's got to be. What I could think of was Cody Rhodes. Took a -4 to get Mikalenko. Have Cody Rhodes. Trent and Mo as triple captain. 0.1 in the bank. Should I leave as is or go Jackson to Ndiaye and add Moyes as assistant manager? No, I'd be leaving it, mate. Shout out Charles, hope you're well. FPL Planner says, no question from me. What a time to be alive with all the shit flying around. Moyes versus Slot versus Salah, triple captain. Good luck, James, and to you too, my friend. Jack says, on assistant manager slot with 2 FTs, worth doing Flecken to pick for this week or roll to be able to prepare for the game with 25 doubles assistant manager changes. I think I quite like that move, by the way, Jack. I don't have a huge issue with that, right? It's worth saying Flecken's made about 30 saves more than any other goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. Excuse me. Pickford will cover you 29. If you had to use him 25s, Palace away. And I don't think Flecken's fixture is necessarily particularly better. If you can hear some shouting, that is my son enjoying himself. But I do think where there's doubt at the moment, Jack, you probably are better off rolling in most scenarios. I don't know, though. I quite like that as a move, as a free transfer, Flecken to Pickford, to give a bit of coverage of it. And their fixtures till the blank and including it are fine. Yeah, I'd be tempted. Good one. That's close. Jordan Murphy says, smash a like, lads. I need a glass of red. It's 9 p.m. in Sydney. Good luck to you, Jordan. Please drink responsibly. John says, hi, James. Bench Murphy, Rogers, or Ahmad Diallo. Cheers. Oh, Murphy. Looking at Newcastle's fixtures, it's last hurrah Murphy, isn't it? I think. Play him. I'd bench Rogers. That would be so unpopular. I am benching him this week, so. Seeing a panic going on from a few people about how to put their assistant manager in. Activate it. It will say pending. For anyone who hasn't done this. Activate it will say pending, and you'll be like, what? Then you can save your team with the assistant manager pending. It'll be pending because you haven't put the manager in yet. Then go to your transfers and it will open up where there'll be a blank space for the assistant manager, and then obviously pick the one you want. Make sure you pick the right one. Then go submit. It will come up and it will say it will be blank for like Slot, Moyes, and it will say 0 cost. Submit transfer. It'll be in your team. I know that because I helped my wife with my team with her team this morning, and she's active on a slot. I removed Luis Diaz from her team, so I'm very much hopeful that Luis Diaz doesn't go off this weekend. Ryan McWilliam says, hi Jim, currently top of your advanced league. Well done, Ryan. Yeah, I saw smashing it. We had a shout out for you on a differential show yesterday, but would still like your advice. I have 2 free transfers and the same free Liverpool as you. Keep it and triple Mo, or sell Trent Gakpo for slot. I can only advise Ryan by what I've done. I think that's best. However, the fact that I don't have the bench boost is potentially a game changer to you. I think I'd stick it out and go to triple, I think. Bobby96 says, hi mate, have Greaves currently stopped. Excuse me, sorry, bubbles. I'm not forever blowing them. Bobby96 is bubbles, Bobby. Hi, mate. Have Greaves currently starting 2 defenders on bench injured. Would you play or bring in another defender? If so, who? Other 2 starters are Gabriel and Van Dijk. I mean, yeah, you need to fix that. Clearly, Howson is a repetitive name that I'm going to keep saying. And by the way, I keep saying him knowing that I'm probably never getting to him. unless I get an injury. Damo Mahal says, hi James, I have Sarah, Gakpo, Trent, and 1 free transfer. Thinking of going, I was just, whoa, that's all I can think of. You have Sarah, Gakpo, Trent, and 1 free transfer. Thinking of going Moyes and seeing how Gameweek 25 pans out. What's your thoughts? Yeah, if you're thinking of it, I'm not keen on it. Honestly, I said my piece at the start. FPL Frazzled, thank you for the AT League Manager of the Month prize. Planet FPL, is it now all in on the assistant manager? Listen, I ain't going to tell you who won my Manager of the Month prize. What you should do, mate, because you're doing well, right? I can't see your team, so I can't answer it, mate. Shout out Lauren, hope you're well. Samson Bretto says triple Paul and Moyes / Emery assistant manager, or double Paul and Slot assistant manager. I prefer the Slot route on that. I think it's like if I was sitting there with, I presume nearly all of you will have Salah. If I was sitting there with Salah and Gakpo or Salah and Trent, I would be going Slot to add for free under that. Like I wouldn't add Gakpo or Trent now ahead of adding Slot. Does that make sense? You're going to get, I talk about me having negative bias about Tottenham quite a lot. Well, what you're going to get from me at the moment is, I think, and this is just to make you all aware, a negative bias of safety because I'm fucked for the chips, right? I can't maneuver in the way others am because of the cock-up last week, right? So I do think I'm drawn quite often in dilemmas like this to pick the safer option. But I would, if I was adding a third Liverpool now, I would be making sure that was Arne Slot personally. Khalid Skaney says, hello James, would you do Haaland to Ndai -4 to enable Moyes assistant manager while having 3 Liverpool assets and 2 Everton with Moyes? Who would you captain from Trent, Luis Diaz, Gakpo? Bench 1 of Ahmad, Rogers, Dango, Tara. What are you doing with the Haaland money, mate? What are you doing with it? Who don't you have? I mean, there's so much you can do there. You haven't got Salah, have you? You're asking me who would I captain from Trent, Luis Diaz, Gakpo. So you haven't got Salah. I mean, I'm sorry, my friend. That is what a potential back-to-back double for the best player in the game. If I was selling Salah, that's what I'd be dealing with. And I'd probably prioritise that over all other things, personally. But I will answer your question. Haaland to die for a -4 is quite amusing when you like. They don't like that. Moyes have spoken about. Who would I captain from the rest? I'd probably chance Gakpo over Trent personally. And I would bench Utara from your other players there. Steve Cheek says, have all chips. Salah, VVD, Trent, no Everton. VVD to Everton defence and play Slot assistant manager. Have enough funds and free transfers, or just go Moyes. Thinking Gameweek 25, having Slot allows me free Villa. Yeah, the only thing I'd add into the caveat is like Van Dijk is a really safe one in terms of minutes. We know that, obviously. But not the potential upside in quite the same way as Trent. So I think for free, yeah, I probably would go down the Slot route, Steve. Farrick says, is it just me or will Iraola, assistant manager, outscore both Moyes and Slot this week? Activate them, mate. Off you go. Good luck. Show us the screen grab afterwards. I wish you genuinely well. It's not impossible. Birth Media, but you're probably not going to do it, are you? Like, go on then. If you really think it, do it. That's not like stick your head in the fire. I'm just saying, if you really believe it, play it your way, mate. Birth Media says, hi, James. Have a great weekend, lad. You too. John says, hit that like, people. Bench Munoz or Kinda. I'm going to guess that was meant to be Conser and has auto-corrected. I would play Munoz, I think. Villa have got issues defensively. Kamara might have to play centre-back. You'll see the predicted Villa lineup come round on screen in a minute. and bench Langer or Rogers. Oof. That's a tough one. Just about bench Langer, I think, from the two. That's tough. Justin Gooch says, morning play Ahmad over Rogers. I am. FPL Frost, all this chaos and Guardiola 35-37 was the best all along. He's not on my current projections, but it might still be where I end up, mate. King of Mandalore, nice shirt. Cheers, mate. Matthew Hall says, Gakpo to and die -4 an assistant manager slot. No, I could be doing it, couldn't I? Adam says, James, give me 3 reasons not to use assistant manager on Hertzler. Need to make up big ground. You're looking at possibly, 2 bonuses in a row and then Southampton. Give you 3 reasons. 1, their inconsistency against low blocks, and they're probably facing one today. They'll have a lot of the ball. 2, there will be other opportunities. 3, I don't think it will get you the points return that you want. So there's your 3 reasons. Shout out Nick Jones, hope you're well. Daniel Cullerton says, who do you think scores more this game week? Slot and Ndiaye or Gakpo and Moyes? For just the one game week. Okay, I'll put Slot this week. Based on my predictions this week, what we put in Slot on, sort of like Slot on about 14, I think. Moyes would be 9, I think. I've based on my correct score prediction, I think that's what I've got. So then it's Gakpo versus Ndiaye. Gakpo 5 more than Ndiaye. Yeah. So Gakpo and Moyes. But it can be a 1 week decision, but I don't think it necessarily should be. Just be careful of that. Lewis James says, biggest game of my season today. Company Whites. He's a Fulham fan who lives in Newcastle. Lewis, I wish you well. Get the chat open with Rory in the next couple of days, mate. Although don't be surprised if you get a call from me. Actually, do be surprised. But I might message you on Friday if my Thursday goes well. Eshen says, best as a replacement. Rogers, then Bournemouth players. Jack Cohen says, hi James, hope you and yours are well. Yes, thank you, hope yours are too. Start 2-3 of the following. Munoz, Robinson, Emil Smith Rowe. I've decided on triple captain Salah this week, assistant manager from 25. Good luck, and to you too. Smith Rowe and Munoz, I think. Close. Ryan Walker, hi James, dilemma. I sold Jota for Boomer and got Moyes assistant manager in yesterday. Then saw the double game with 25 news. I have Salah and Gakpo already. Do I take a -4 to get another Liverpool player or move Moyes to slot? That will cost you another -4, mate. So the easiest answer right now is no. Dara Sam Maguire, morning James. If game week 25 is confirmed before deadline, we can't be. Would you do, unless you've not seen the news for the last 24 hours, would you do assistant manager with slot Trent, Salah and Visser, Everton defender Salah and Gakpo, possibly chase a win bonus in 26? I mean, yeah, if you want to get slot in, but I wouldn't necessarily shove around Gakpo, as I've covered several times on this, mate. The question feels a little contradictory. Sorry. Greg Williams says, Diaz to Dango to get slot. We'll have enough cash to go Wood to Watkins next week if needed. Cheers, James. Good luck, Greg. Didier Drogball says, please like, mate. This knowledge is gem. Thank you, Didier. Have a great weekend. The Flying Naga says, hello, James. If I'm chasing, rank is triple captain on Gakpo too big of a risk? It's a risk. It goes without saying, right? But play it your way, mate. And I've seen a few people who are outside the top million who really want to take a real punt with it, with say Gakpo or Trent. And if that's your scenario, then cool. You don't need me to tell you anything that's, the consequences of what Mo Salah could do, right? It's fairly obvious. 6 minutes to deadline, guys. Just checking on a few messages to see if we've got anything coming in. We're not expecting anything on team news ahead of deadline. Just checking a couple of sources. I don't believe there's anything. 10:58, we'll go to the bottom of the chat just in case there's anything. To be honest, maybe 10:59. I don't expect anything today. Next up is Jerry W. Hello, Jimbo. With how unpredictable the Champions League has been, do you think Bournemouth would have finished top 8 had they been there based on their big game performance or playoffs minimum? Nowhere knowing, mate, because one thing you'd have to say about them this season is, I was going to say luxury, that's unfair, but obviously they're playing once a week. Twice a week. Tottenham have definitely not done well in a few Premier League games this year because they've played like Thursday and then Sunday. Villa, I'm cautious about them today, Wednesday night and then Saturday. Villa's results have really suffered after Champions League games this year. It's a physical and mental come down afterwards, right? There's no way of knowing because of that. So I think it's highly unlikely that Bournemouth would have finished top 8, to be honest. Hillbilly says Gakpo to Vissa, or if they had, Jerry, the Premier League, they would not be where they are on the Premier League table. Let me sell it a different way for you. Hillbilly says Gakpo to Vissa or Trent to Konsa to enable Slot. I'm nervous about Vissa. I've spoken about this a lot this week, but I would prefer that move if he stayed. Steve Cheeks says bench 2 of Martinez, Robinson, Van den Berg. I presume this is Lisandro Martinez. From that 3, I'd probably play him. Roseanne Fleur, I'm 9th in my mini league and 107 points behind first place. Playing assistant manager this week on Moyes. All chips left. Can I win the league? Percentage chance to win it? Yes, low. Thomas Thornton says, hey mate, I decided to skip the slot pick and go for bonus assistant manager later. Just wanted to say good luck. Diaz, Trent and Salah loaded. Good luck, Thomas. Mark Burns says, would triple captain be better using 25 instead of 24? In theory, yes, but I spoke about this a lot on the Team News stream I did for all of our patrons last night. Is one, we do not know if it will happen, right? At the moment, Tottenham are winning. I'm sure we all think Liverpool will turn it around, but at the moment, Tottenham are winning. Then what? Also, across Liverpool's next 6 league games, I think Salah starts them all, okay? But if there was one he was going to get benched, it is probably the Wolves game. No, I don't think he would be, but that would be the logical one for him to get a benching in if that was to happen. I don't think it would. So in theory, yes, but I've made the decision now that the knowledge of what I've got is better than not knowing what's next. So I've gone for it personally, but I do think it's very close. I obviously considered holding it back. Andrew Brighton says, cut or thrust. I don't know how I can answer this without getting in trouble, but prefer a thrust myself. Rennie Panayotu says, imagine Spurs end up in the cup final. I've tried to imagine this. Jerry W says, do you think 3 promoted teams will still go down with Saints 100% locked in and possibly doing a derby? Is there a chance Leicester and Ipswich surviving with how Wolves' crisis have been in right now? There's a chance. All I'd say is Wolves fixtures, game week 27 to game week 34 are wow. And if they've got, as long as they've got their team fit over that period, they will, in my opinion, get the points that will get them out of trouble. Martin says Sanchez to Pickford -4, worth it. Worried about him losing his place plus the blank 29 potential double versus Arsenal. This one I get. There's a specific on a player there that's awkward. You know, if you didn't sell him and then Chelsea end up with a double, you'd still keep him. Yeah, I'd be tempted by this one, yeah. Yeah, it's a rare one of a team that could double in 25. I think, yeah, probably on, yeah. LP says, hi, James. Play Milenkovic, Greaves or Castagne. Best of luck this game week. Probably Milenkovic, I think. That would be the preference, I think. We are 2 minutes to deadline games. Stu T says, hi mate, Hall or Gabriel to start. Little preference with Gabriel. They're next to each other on the bench in dilemmas. And Ninda Das says, Gakpo out, slot in, no hits. But who to buy? And Dyer, Watkins, Mateta. Money not a problem for Watkins. Lincoln Begg says Trent to Mikalenko or Gakpo to Dyer to fund slot this week. First move helps out funds next week for Enzo to Rogers. Cheers, mate. Good luck. Then it's first option, mate, by default. Shout out Sheriff, hope you're well. Liam Doyle, hi James. Free transfer, 0.2 in the bank. Want to use Arsemanship on slot. Have Kanate and Mo. Would you get Gakpo and drop Kanate? Would have to downgrade Gordon, have Sanchez in goal and Flappy on bench. Who is best alternative? Christ on a stick, mate. Yeah, I would probably switch that up to potentially put Gakpo in. Not going to cover any more questions, guys, because it's a minute to deadline. Just see if we've got any potential information knocking about on team news today. Again, not expecting anything at all at this stage. There's nothing mentioning anything in the chat. If you're an imposter, please don't imposter at this time, because I'll mark you as a possible imposter. I think we're not going to get any more info. And I make that deadline, guys. I make that deadline past at 11 a.m. Tanky says locked in. Yes, we all are. Very best of luck to all of you. If you came just for the FPL chat, smash a like, hit the sub button. If you can support the show at www.patreon.com/Planet FPL, it'd be hugely appreciated. Every now and again, dickheads like me just decide to do 2-hour streams late at night. It's not something that'll happen often, in fairness. Yeah, if you're going to support the show, www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Support us at basic tier, the lowest tier, where you can get no ads and early releases. The content goes out earlier on Patreon as well. Normally not by long, normally only by like half hour or so. Basic tier plus, you get one additional podcast a week, access to our Slack, which also gives you access to our planner. Intermediate plus tier, you get access to all the podcasts on Patreon, and at advanced tier, you get access to all my video content that's produced during the week, and access to a Zoom call each week as well with myself and other patrons. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Do it because you would like to support the show, or because you would like the additional content, of which the last 24 hours has made me telling you what we're going to do next week very, very difficult. So I tell you what I can tell you. Monday will be the game review podcast. Tuesday, I haven't decided yet. Wednesday will be the Clayton James show, which includes our coverage of the Monday Night Football. Thursday will be Clash of the Correspondents, Wolves against Aston Villa. Hang on, they're playing each other this weekend. Yes, you are absolutely right. They are playing each other this weekend. We're going to do it as if they, well, obviously, as if they haven't. We'll obviously talk about the game, and we'll talk about networks next. That obviously could be very useful now with Villa potentially doubling, and Wolves have good fixtures going into the blank as well. There are 2 more COTCs for you the week after, by the way. Leicester versus Arsenal with Sam Martin and Adam Pritchard. And Man City versus Newcastle, Johnny Pringle and Simon Bibby. They're all going to be before the Gameweek 25 deadline. Next Friday will be Ask James as well. Don't know. Wait, it might not be. It's also complicated. I'm going to Liverpool Thursday. I'm not going to be back till Friday lunchtime. So if it is an Ask James stream, it's going to be probably Friday night, I think, as it stands. I'm going to have to confirm. The idea was to put this all in place yesterday. Other things obviously took priority. So keep an eye on our schedule that will go out either tomorrow night or early Monday morning to give you some clarity on that. Patreon content, I can tell you what I do know is Q&A Monday. There'll be a Tottenham. The differential show on Friday, we're going to review the cup games from the semi-finals of the Carabao and preview the FA Cup 4th round. I've also got something coming up with one of our patrons intended to do this week, which will be on injuries. Is something we're going to do on Patreon this week as well. Right, if anyone's got any non-FPL questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'm happy to cover for a little bit of time. But I'm done with fantasy now. Need a little break for a few days. James Brennan says, hi James, thoughts on Rashford next week if he's at Villa and they double? I don't think it'd be a guarantee to go straight in the team, mate. Fancy Fluker, thank you very much. Gerard slipped, I know. Says, appreciate all the content, James. Have a good weekend, mate, and to you. Birth Media says, hi James, do you ever drink alcohol during streams? Don't have to answer. I mean, no. It's too early. It is. I used to. When I first did the streams in COVID, not the deadline streams, I don't think. But certainly the fantasy champ man streams I used to, and it was kind of religious. I had to drink through them. It was part of the kind of skit and the deal. Not excessively. We only talking about like 3 cans during a stream. But yeah, I drank through all of them. So yeah, I have no. I mean, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I think if I'm sitting here with a beer, that's possibly a little early, isn't it? I don't think I've ever done a deadline stream and drunk, even if it's been an evening. No, I don't think so. FPL Frost says, this is the best deadline stream out there. Thank you, mate. Thank you for looking after my chat as well, buddy. It's much appreciated. Chris Coos has joined a bit late. Wonder if you were tempted to keep the triple captain for Mo for next game week. Yeah, I mean, I covered that near the end, of course. And I also said the reasons why, which it's in the last 10 minutes. I don't want to cover again. I can't bother now, but thank you. Sweet Blue says, thoughts on Disaside to Spurs rumour. Oh, God almighty. I mean, for him, he's going to sit on Chelsea's bench. He's going to sit on our bench. Yeah, I mean, it's clearly... I've not seen that rumour yet, by the way, but it wouldn't surprise me. We're in desperate need. There's some speculation. I have seen this morning that Dragoshin is potentially really bad in terms of the injury. So it's at a desperate point, isn't it? So, yeah, could see it possibly. Ben Edison says, hi, James. Thoughts on... Thoughts on links with this side today? I haven't seen it yet. And more so with Tomori, do you think this could mean Romero could leave soon? I think the need for depth, but can't have someone like Tomori on the bench. My understanding this morning was that Tomori was probably going to turn Tottenham down. Again, there's something's happened in the last hour and a half. I'm not aware. This is I just covered. In terms of Romero, yeah, I think he would probably leave in the summer, mate. It's possibly a little bit subject to what Tottenham... if Tottenham won Europa League, maybe like that changes things. Let's be honest, that's unlikely. But I think he's got 2 years left on his contract. We know there's interest from Real Madrid. If they offered the money, then I think he goes, doesn't he? And if the biggest club in the world comes for you, I think you understand that. I know where Tottenham are at on the food chain. Matthew North says, what is Anfield away like? All right, I've not done it for a night game before, so looking forward to that. Thursday we'd have, I think we got 6,000 tickets, and then at Villa on next Sunday we got 6,500. So should be some cracking atmospheres. It's trepidation, obviously, but looking forward to it. I think pre-game is obviously good, but then the atmosphere during the game's perhaps not what you'd expect. But then the support are going to be well behind them. Technically, they go into the game losing, right? So. Yeah, looking forward to it. It's better now they've obviously done the Anfield Road stand. If I end up with a shit seat near the front, probably move towards the back on the staircase. It's kind of a plot plan I've got, but I don't know where my ticket will be yet. I think that'll get sent to me on Monday. Adam says, Royal Rumble winner question. Royal Rumble winner. Look in my eyes. What do you say? I'll go for CM Punk, mate. I think he's due that main event WrestleMania day, isn't he? Jay Barker says, hey James, what's going on Tell and what type of player he is? So Matthias Tell, as far as we're aware, again, unless something's changed in the last hour and a half, forgive me, I don't know. As far as I'm aware, he turned Tottenham down yesterday. Tottenham had agreed a deal with Bayern Munich, but he's turned them down. Completely understand that at the moment. He's a multifunctional forward who could play across the front line, so he can play left, right. He can play as a striker as well. What I saw of him was playing off the left against Tottenham in pre-season in a game I think was in Korea, but it was certainly in Asia, and I was like, wow, go and buy him. And he was a player I was aware of because Tottenham tried to get him as part of the Harry Kane deal the year before. So it was a name, wasn't like as a kid, you're like, I don't know who that is. It was a name I was already familiar with. And yeah, we could not cope with him. For a 19-year-old, like, wow, that's a talent. It seems like there was a little bit of erraticness in some of his play, like his finishing. I made a judgment on 45 minutes that there was a potential superstar there. But I've seen plenty say his finishing is not great. He can, for all his good dribbling, he can be erratic on occasions. It was a pre-season friendly. You can potentially read too much into that. I'm also not bothered that the deal's not happened. He's a player that I wanted, let me clarify. But if he didn't want to join us, I'm okay with that not happening, because I think ultimately he could just be looking to move on again in the summer or soon afterwards. So I'd want him to come because he wants to come, and with where we are in the league, can't blame any player for having second thoughts at the moment. He's a really talented player. I think he has the potential to be good enough to play for an Arsenal or a Liverpool. I don't know. mean, Arsenal. I think at Arsenal would be very competitive to go straight in the team at the moment. Potentially, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up there by the end of the window. We know United are interested. We know Villa are interested. We know Chelsea are interested. So I think there was a bid potentially from a Saudi club yesterday, which he also turned down. I mean, it's every chance he'll be a Premier League player by the close of the window. Thomas Thornton says, what is your favourite goal in Premier League history? Dele Alli at Crystal Palace would be the one, I think. Obviously, I'm going to name a Tottenham goal, and I think that would be the one, I think. Yeah, I think Dele Alli at Crystal Palace. Pro Evo Stevo says, morning James, did you go to the Thursday game? Youngsters played well, cheers fella, good luck, come you Spurs. Yeah, I'm always there, mate. If it's at home, it's been nearly 35 years now. Mooman says, cheers from Canada, James. Thoughts on Maatsen playing on the right side? Not familiar enough with the player, thank you. I must say I'd not really considered that as a possibility, but I guess it's possible. Purely on, now you mention it, I know that he had played right wing for Chelsea in a pre-season game, not this summer, but the summer before. So, I guess, could he play right back? He's also someone who can move inverted as well. Villa tend not to do that with their fullbacks. But it can be done. Yeah, it's a possibility, I suppose. It's a good shout. I doubt it. It's a decent shout. It's not something I'd considered. Doris Sam Maguire says, what you think on replacing the League Cup with a British and Irish Cup that was floating about on socials a couple of weeks ago? Only if it involved teams that didn't qualify for Europe. Yeah, I think that's... I think that's the solution for the League Cup, personally. But it won't happen because of money. And the EFL can't afford for the biggest clubs not to be part of their competition. That is harmful for the Championship and below clubs. Because you sell the EFL, the Carabao Cup as part of the EFL package for TV rights, etc., etc. It's part why we're still stuck with two-leg semi-finals at the moment. Because the EFL want more money from the Premier League. The Premier League want to get rid of the second semi-final, the second leg. But under that basis, the EFL are like, well, we want compensation for losing two of the biggest games from their package rights. But I think the best solution for that competition now would be that the clubs who qualify for Europe don't enter it. And potentially put the caveat of a Europa League rather than a Europa League conference place for the winner. That competition start getting treated a little bit differently, I think, under that circumstance. I must say I had not really particularly seen those British and Irish Cup rumours, to be honest, Dara. Billy Taylor says, have you ever had a dream about a live stream or a podcast going wrong and woke up in a panic? Don't think so. I've woken up in a panic thinking I'm late sometimes. Like, oh shit, I've overslept, but not an actual dream about it, no. Billy Taylor says, have you ever had a dream about a live stream or a podcast going wrong and woke up in a panic? Such a good question, Billy. I thought I'd read it twice. FF Thinker, Sean Thorpe, my friend, says, been away from a lot of content this season, but nice to hear your dulcet tones again. Hope you're well, buddy. Tom Hall says, who's the second club you hate the most and why is it West Ham? I mean, on geography base, it's got to be West Ham or Chelsea. Could kind of flip a coin between the two, but I wouldn't call it a hate, Tom. There's a huge separation between how I feel about Arsenal to how I feel about your club and Chelsea. It's night and day, mate. So hate would be strong. Dislike, hate would be strong. It would be between you and Chelsea, but I don't know. I'm trying to think. If Chelsea and West Ham were going for the league, who would I rather won it? I suppose the answer is Chelsea, just purely because we've been there, seen it, done it, got the T-shirt, I suppose. So, yeah, okay, yeah, fine, West Ham. FPL Frazzle says, James, how many players will Spurs bring in by deadline realistically? No from Tell, no from Tomori. Where are we heading next for cover? Don't know. But I think there'll be one attacker and there'll be one defender. I think that'll probably be it. I think Tottenham are gonna do a lot more than that because there's a lot of players technically coming back in a couple of weeks. And you can only register 3 new players for Europa. So, that's going to be a really awkward decision to make, I think. Janono Bro says, what do your old co-workers think of you doing FPL content full time? What do my old co-workers think? I don't know. I don't care. I don't suppose any of them, like, if they think it's like stupid or whatever, like, I don't suppose any of them would tell it to my face. So no. I'd see people around the office go, oh, how's it going? All right, yeah, cool. I don't really bore people with what I'm doing because I'm not overly interested in what they're doing. So I don't know, mate. I've no idea, mate. I'm happy. I hope they're happy. Mustafa's Gaming says, morning, James. Let's get ready to rumble. Have a great weekend. Looking forward to next week's content. Cheers. Have a great weekend, you too. John D says, hi, James. Great deadline stream. Completely hypothetical. Which current Arsenal player would you most want at Tottenham? It's got to be Saka, really, isn't it? Saka, Odegaard is what's that, isn't it? Declan Rice, another. I think it's probably the order, isn't it? I'm trying to think what's more suitable. This isn't a, Raya, Gabriel, Saliba. All these aren't great players, but what do I need most? Yeah, I think for my team, Saka, would be the top fit, I think. Marcus Hanson says, no further questions. Thank you. It's been a weekend. You too, buddy. Thomas Thornton, what is your favourite goal in Premier League history? Yeboah and Suarez stick out to me. If I not just answered this and said Dele Alli against Crystal Palace, mate. Vindaloo says, hi, James. West Brom fan. What can we expect from Lancashire on loan? Cheers for the excellent content. I've got to be surprised. I was surprised at that move. Not that he's gone out on loan. I don't know the situation with West Brom's forwards. I know Josh Madger there has had a decent season. I don't know if you've got injuries and stuff like that at the moment. The problem for Will is really good in and around the box. I don't think he quite makes the right runs yet. And when I watched the under-18s last year, I didn't think he was overly slow. But his reaction speed at the jump up in level, wow, stark. Now listen, this is the lad who scored in Turkey in Europa League, right? So very capable in front of goal. I wouldn't think that he's an auto to go into your team, and I think Tottenham probably realised that. He's got real potential, but I'm not convinced that you'll see that in the rest of this season. I think there's a way to go for him in terms of endurance and sharpness, which is a longer term process, I think, than just coming back from an injury, for example. And he's been fit all season, as far as I'm aware. I hope he does great. And you've not bought a dud, but you've probably got a player that's not quite ready yet, would be my take. Billy Taylor says, surely announcing another potential game in Gameweek 25 with this amount of notice is a bit dodgy when it's especially midweek. Didn't the Premier League say they were going to give at least 6 weeks notice previously? The thing is, they had to wait till Tottenham and Villa had their European games done, didn't they? I personally don't understand what the desperation was to bring forward the Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea games. I can't see what the problem would have been, because I think even in the case that Liverpool, Tottenham would have maybe had to go into 33, then by consequence, Villa, Liverpool would have to go to 36. By consequence, Villa, Man City would have to go to 33, right? And it would have changed like that. I don't know what the Tottenham stuff. I think we got it right. We'd said as a warning, and I'm totally honest, I didn't think it would happen, but we did say, look, this could happen. I would have had it at sort of 5 to 10% chance. I know there were others were putting it higher, but it certainly no one was going, oh, this is above 50% probability. So with the Tottenham and the potential with them still in the cups, you could foresee the problem happening further down the line. I failed to see truly what the issue would have been with anyone that wasn't Tottenham, basically, at this stage. I failed to see it. I don't know why they've done it. I don't think anybody thought that they would do it. It's what they've decided. I suggested, I think, on our Patreon stream last night that I wondered if it was a request from the clubs in Europe who were like, we can't have these games at the end of the season if we're still in Europe. We'd rather play them earlier. Not saying that the Premier League, the clubs have gone to the Premier League and moved these games forward, but it might have been when they had discussions in pre-season, they might be they've gone that we don't want to play every midweek in April, May. If we're still going to be in Europe, can we have somewhere we've got a break? That's a possibility. We'd never be privy to that sort of thing. But I'll probably be discussing things like that a little bit more in forthcoming weeks. Next up is KC Wolf. Hi, James. What do you do if you was painting the bathroom and missed the arsemanship? Play it in a different week, mate. I hope the painting went well. FPL Gold Galazzo. Good morning, FPL Top Advisor. Do you rate the new UEFA Champions League format? Have a great game. Smash the like button, you mugs. Look, enjoyed watching all that the other night, but it wasn't the carnage that I think people were hoping it was. And I said on our UCL Fantasy podcast on Wednesday, I think it will probably end in a little bit of a damp squib, actually. I kind of did, unless maybe I guess you're supporting Villa. So, all right, cool. Let's give it a little bit more time and give it a few more years to judge. And we've got kind of a little bit more info in terms of, points needed for certain positions and stuff like that. I think it was a little bit higher than we'd expected because the bottom 10 or so was just so shit in the competition this year. Not in a Forest lineup for you, by the way. This I would suggest is a back 3/5 for Forest. Morato is playing. So too is Danilo. So I think you're looking at midfield 3 there or midfield 2, Anderson, Danilo and Gibbs White and Alanga behind Wood. I think that could be a back 3 for Nottingham Forest, which we've obviously seen them do. They did it at very short notice at Everton, for example, about a month ago. Brighton lineup. There is a start for Jorginho Rutter. Jack Hinshelwood back in the team. There was some rumours last night that a number of Brighton players might have been ill. And one of the names I heard mentioned was Carlos Baleba. He's not in the Brighton squad. That's a miss for them today. I would presume Lamptey continues at left back. Midfield here is going to be Hinshelwood, and it's a little light. So they've got Pedro, Jorginho Rutter, Minter, Welbeck, and Mitoma all playing. Christ on a stick. They might get done in midfield there, mate. Yeah, they might do. Mate, it's only one of you. FPL, I've just done that. James Mann. Villa have signed a right back from Levante. Yeah, I know, mate. Shall I show you how I know that? Bottom right hand corner, mate. I've got him predicted to start, and I have done all through this stream, mate. So, but thank you. Pete Haley says, "Hey James, do the managers get price drop and rises if they get a red card? No changes. Red cards won't impact. There'll be no price changes. Don't worry about it. Yeah, essentially you're picking a team rather than a manager." Big L says, "James, top 3 Spurs players you've ever seen." There's an obvious 3. No, maybe there's not. Bale is definitely one, without question. That period he had in the last 3 years genuinely took him to minimum top 5 in the world footballers. Bale is definitely in there. That's the best player I've seen play for Tottenham. Him in that, incredible. And then I think the rest, it's between Gascoigne, Modric, Kane. Modric I include because of what he went on to include. Absolutely incredible. And I mean, he was phenomenal for us, but he became an even better player when he went to Real Madrid, unquestionable. whereas Gascoigne's peak arguably was with us. Kane, obviously, incredible achievements in front of goal. People can laugh, but Moussa Dembele wouldn't be far off this list either. I think it's Bale, Gascoigne, Kane if it's on Tottenham specifics. If not, then Modric should probably find his way in there over Kane. Excuse me. Colin Johnson says, "Hi mate, just had the maddest hour done. Slot for a -4. Think we all need a break now. Cheers for the content." Bradley Gardner says, "I never understood West Ham Spurs dislike North for East, or do I need a history lesson?" I mean, West Ham's closest club is like Leyton Orient. Their closest sizable club is Tottenham, basically. So, yeah, completely under. I mean, Tottenham is north, but it's kind of northeast. So geographically, I mean, the weirder one is Chelsea's hate for Tottenham, right? Because you have to go past so many clubs to get to Tottenham. Whereas at least for West Ham, yeah, Tottenham's kind of the closest big one. So, like, yeah, I get it. It's absolutely fine, mate. Sweet Blues is Bright 11 wildly attacking, or just me? Yeah, as said Victor, there was some speculation I'd seen that they had an illness problem. So it's a possibility they've not had a lot of choice. O'Reilly's on the bench, has had issues. Gomez is on the bench. I don't know if he'd be able to play a 2 at this stage for Brighton, to be confirmed. FPL Frost says, "Would you rather decide went to Spurs or Villa?" I'd rather he went to Villa. Yeah, I don't want Tottenham to get stopgap players. I generally look I say we've coped. We haven't coped. Don't just fucking cover up fucking plasters. Like, wait. It's probably not that deep. Like, no. I'd rather Tottenham went and punted on a kid, or I'd arguably rather just fucking brought back Luka Vuskovic and pushed his development quicker, personally. So, yeah. Chelsea fans aren't keen on him. No, it speaks enough. Jay Barker says, "Who wins the Premier League Manager Royal Rumble now that Dyche is out of the running?" I swear we had this like the other week. Amrin would be a contender. Slot maybe. He's got them eyes. Not Pep. It's too emotional. Same as Arteta. Hertzler as young might be a contender. Maybe. I bet Vitor Pereira's got a bit of spike. In fact, we did this, and I did exactly the same thing, and then at the end I went, yeah, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Ruud van Nistelrooy is the answer. CG says, "As the deadline has gone, I thought I'd ask a non-football related question. Thank you, because it's all I want to answer. What would your meal of choice be if you were on death row? Thanks for the content, mate." Smash me up a mixed grill, mate. Put as much on that plate as you can. Alistair Hargreaves, "What's your opinion on the Reading situation still rumbling on? Generally believe we could get liquidated." It's one we've covered 2 or 3 times on podcasts now, and we've not done it for a while. I think like Reading as a football club is a really attractive prospect in terms of where it is geographically, stadiums in place. There's a lot to like about the potential of what that football club could be for an investor. You just need to get it off the guy that's in charge, right? I'm not aware of any developments that would have happened over the last week or so apologies if there's been further. I do not believe it will end up in a case where it gets to that bad of a situation for the football club. This is the sort of reason why you really need a regulator. But, you mean we can regulate ourselves? Yeah, a regulator here would want to have the power to actually take the football club away from Dai Yonggi and put it into some form of safe holding away from him. And that would be I always say it about protecting our football clubs is the biggest thing about regulators and football pyramids and stuff like that, right? Can't have clubs dying. I do think it will probably work out for Reading, but yeah, it continues to be alarming, no doubt. Wes, he says, "Anything to do with TV rights, as in the fact one game is guaranteed, makes it easier in that respect as opposed to one of them being provisional where it might not happen." I presume this is in relation to the fact the games have been brought forward. Yeah, but if you take Sky, right? Sky have got the Villa Liverpool game. They're now clashing with Real Madrid against Man City. That's not great. I don't think that's what Sky were looking for. I really don't. I'm sure Sky and TNT, with the Villa Liverpool games and the Arsenal Chelsea games, which could be games that impacts the title race and obviously qualification for Champions League, would much rather those games were at the end of the season than the start. So I don't think this is TV's choice. I'd be very, very surprised. Big L says Bale was the answer I was looking for. James, buzzing to see a Welshman as the best player for a big club. What a player! What a player! It's just unstoppable. Man was having his own goal of the month competition by the end. Tanky says Watkins will be difficult to buy next week if he doubles. Glad I got him in. Good luck. FP Opera says, what's the rest of the weekend looking like, James? The rest of the weekend is looking like probably watching Forest Brighton, try and take the boy out for a little bit, watch Wolves Villa, chill tonight, meet my dad for the game tomorrow. We're actually watching the game in the stadium at White Hart Lane tomorrow. They did a kind of a prize for members, which me and Dad applied for. We've both got tickets for it. So we're going to watch it. I presume it's on the premium level in the East Stand tomorrow. Couldn't get a ticket, unfortunately. So that's the plan for tomorrow. Obviously, Arsenal City afterwards. The immediate plan right now is to confirm my schedule for for next week and try and put something in place before the end of the day for rest of February with a little bit of flexibility. As well. I will leave it there, guys. Thanks as always for your contributions to the chat and the support. If you can support the show, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. But if you came just for the stream, smash a like, hit the sub on your way out. Deadline stream, next one will be in 2 weeks. So you'll be back with me for the Game Review podcast on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.